The Brian Mudd Show is on News Radio 610 WIOD.
Naim Haroon Sakhia, a immigration attorney in Texas. And, well, Naim, this situation continues to go from bad to worse on the border. What are you experiencing?
Well, what we are seeing right now, well, first of all, thank you for having me on your show. I really appreciate that. As far as what is happening at the border, it is still a hotbed for news. And what we are seeing since last week, there were two stories, or one story floating around, one on Daily Mail on their website, and then in New Mexico, Sunland Park is a border town where a report of these illegal crossers, individual males coming in, getting or using stash houses as staging points from which they are being spread around. And the story was that the smugglers, when these people come in, they are telling those individuals to try to hire Uber or Lyft riders to take them wherever they needed to go. So this is something which is happening, which is kind of alarming in the sense that individuals riding on these ride shares may be difficult for the local law enforcement to spot and intervene in their journey. We have not seen any kind of reaction from Lyft or Uber to this story, and I have not seen anything coming officially from the Department of Homeland Security either. So which is kind of a cause for alarm and concern.
You mentioned Homeland Security. Of course, we had Secretary Mayorkas just wrap up his visit there. And while he, made clear that nobody who doesn't have, business or an official asylum claim will be permitted into the country, none of the previous calls have seemingly made a difference. To me, the more alarming takeaway was his acknowledgement on what was recorded and leaked, that he called the situation unsustainable at the southern border. I mean, that's what it appears to be, is that there's a complete breakdown here. I mean, you're an attorney. The legal system, does it even exist anymore? We hear about tens of thousands that have been released with notice to appears, but no court dates. Is there any semblance of reality anymore? Is it just a free-for-all?
Well, as I said before, in our previous conversations, the reality somewhere lies in between the positions which are being presented in the media from one side or the other. The legal system, obviously, it exists. It's just that it has to be made more efficient and more resources have to be provided. So if we are going to schedule or allow people in saying that they will have a day in the court, then we might want to make sure that they do get that day in the court and they get it very quickly, because a lot of time these individuals have this hope that the court date will be far out in the future and they will have an opportunity to live here and try to adjust their status through other means if that's possible for them. So in order to, and that becomes a magnet actually, because what happens is people who are here, they may convey a message to somebody out there across the border saying that, yeah, there is a legal process going on and I'm in that process, but that process is going to take so long that I do get an opportunity to try to plant myself or establish life here through illegal means. So that is something which has to be stopped. And the message has to be sent that if somebody wants to come into the U.S., there are legal ways to come in and they should take opportunity and take advantage of those opportunities. But if you do come illegally, then we will deal with you severely to the fullest extent of the law, and then also make the mechanism very efficient to actually deliver that justice, whichever way they choose to deliver it.
Naim Haroon Sakhia, immigration attorney in Texas. Thank you very much. Always appreciate your perspective.
Thank you.
Dive into my top three takeaways today. First up, pragmatism. The biggest issue in our society today is the near complete lack of it. If you insert issue here, that thought probably applies. In today's Q&A, we'll get to it at 11:50. I drilled down on this thought as a thoughtful listener questioned me on the overall effectiveness of masks. That issue, especially as it's a dominating issue at the onset of our new school year, is the perfect illustration of the lack of pragmatism in our society today. and it's penetrated every aspect of the pandemic. As I depict in today's Q&A, we have accredited studies showing some masks, N95, are effective at combating the spread of COVID-19, and others, single-layer cloth masks, that aren't. But in our schools or our society where mask mandates apply, they're all treated the same. That's foolish. Just as we have 3 vaccines with varying levels of efficacy that currently range from good, Moderna, to not good, Johnson & Johnson. But they're all treated the same. That's foolish. We have no clue as to the length of efficacy of any of them. But those who are vaccinated in January are treated the same as those who are vaccinated today. That's foolish. But back to the schools. So this is where the ultimate lack of pragmatism exists. I've talked about it all week. There are 13 studies posted to the National Institutes of Health website pertaining to mask and education. Everyone that studied the impact on learning showed that there's less of it with masks. Teachers are less effective at teaching. Students are less effective at learning. That was true in